Wellington, Florida, May 26, 1990. A seemingly peaceful Saturday morning. But behind the manicured lawns and quiet streets, a tragedy was about to unfold, a crime so bizarre, so shocking, that it would haunt this community for decades. Marlene Warren, a beloved mother and successful businesswoman, was about to answer her door, unaware that her life was about to be cut tragically short. What she saw on her doorstep wasn't a friendly visitor, but a figure straight out of a nightmare. A clown, complete with an orange wig, a painted smile, and a red nose. This wasn't a birthday party or a child's celebration. This clown carried not laughter and joy, but a gun and a death sentence. In a horrifying instant, the clown raised a gun and fired a single shot, striking Marlene Warren in the face. The balloons and flowers, meant to be a cheerful gesture, lay scattered around her as she collapsed. Inside the house, Marlene's 21-year-old son, Joe Ahrens, witnessed the unthinkable. He watched in horror as his mother, the woman who brought him into the world, was murdered in cold blood by a stranger dressed as a clown. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong, nor a random act of violence. This was a calculated execution, an assassination disguised in the most grotesque and unexpected way imaginable. Who would commit such a heinous act? And why the clown costume? The answers, as investigators would soon discover, lay buried in a web of secrets, betrayal, and a love triangle gone terribly wrong. This is the story of Marlene Warren, the boy who lost his mother to a clown, and the decades-long search for justice that would uncover a truth more shocking than fiction. This is Joe Ahrens. On that fateful day, he was just 21 years old, a young man with his whole life ahead of him. He was close to his mother, Marlene. She was more than just a parent, she was his confidante, his friend. They shared a bond built on love, trust, and mutual respect. Joe lived with Marlene and his stepfather, Mike Warren, in their Wellington home. He was recovering from a broken leg, enjoying a quiet breakfast with his mother and some friends when their world was shattered. Imagine the scene, the laughter, the casual conversation, the sense of normalcy, all ripped away in an instant by the intrusion of evil. Joe was the one who answered the door that morning. He saw the clown, the flowers, the balloons. For a fleeting moment, he thought it was a gesture of kindness, perhaps a get-well gift for his injury. But that fleeting moment of innocence was quickly replaced by unimaginable horror. He watched helplessly as the clown pulled the trigger, the gunshot echoing through the quiet neighborhood. He saw his mother fall, her lifeblood staining the pristine doorstep. The image, the sound, the sheer brutality of it all would be forever seared into his memory. In the chaotic moments that followed, Joe's instincts took over. He dialed 911, his voice trembling as he reported the crime. He even tried to chase after the fleeing clown in his mother's car, a desperate attempt to bring her killer to justice. But the clown vanished, leaving behind a trail of devastation and a family forever broken. The murder of Marlene Warren would not only rob Joe of his mother but also cast a long shadow over his life. He would face years of struggle, battling with grief, guilt, and the demons that haunted him in the aftermath of that terrible day. But amidst the darkness, a spark of resilience remained. Joe never gave up hope that his mother's killer would be found. He clung to the belief that justice would prevail, even if it took decades. His unwavering determination would ultimately play a crucial role in unraveling the truth behind the clown murder and bringing those responsible to justice. But the path to justice would be long and winding, filled with twists, turns, and shocking revelations. The investigation would uncover a web of deceit, betrayal, and a love triangle that would ultimately lead to Marlene's doorstep. Who was this woman who dressed as a clown and carried out such a cold-blooded murder? And what was the motive behind this heinous crime? The answers, as we shall see, are more complex and disturbing than anyone could have imagined. Marlene Warren was more than just a victim. She was a daughter, a sister, a wife, a mother, a friend. She was a woman with dreams, aspirations, and a zest for life that touched everyone who knew her. Those who knew Marlene best describe her as vibrant, caring, and full of energy. She had a contagious laugh and a warm smile that could light up a room. She was a successful businesswoman, owning several properties and running a thriving used car business with her husband. But her greatest joy came from her family and friends. She cherished the moments spent with loved ones, creating memories that would last a lifetime. "Marlene was my baby," Shirley says, her voice cracking with emotion. She was always so full of life, always had a smile on her face. She loved to laugh, loved to make others happy. She was just a beautiful person inside and out. Marlene's friends recall her infectious enthusiasm and her unwavering loyalty. She was the kind of person who would go out of her way to help others, always putting their needs before her own. She had a passion for life, a drive to succeed, and a heart filled with kindness. But Marlene's life was tragically cut short, her dreams and aspirations stolen from her in a senseless act of violence. The vibrant woman, the loving mother, the loyal friend, was gone, leaving behind a void that could never be filled. Marlene Warren was more than just a statistic, more than just a name in a headline. She was a woman who loved and was loved, a woman whose life was tragically cut short. Her memory lives on in the hearts of those who knew her, a reminder of the preciousness of life and the devastating consequences of violence. But what led to Marlene's untimely death? Who would want to harm this vibrant and beloved woman? The answer, as we shall see, lies hidden in a web of relationships and secrets, a tangled story of love, betrayal, and ultimately, murder. Marlene and Mike Warren seemed, on the surface, to have it all. A beautiful home in a well-to-do neighborhood, successful businesses, and a comfortable lifestyle. But behind the facade of success, cracks were beginning to appear in their marriage. Mike Warren was a charismatic man, a natural salesman with a knack for making deals. He was involved in various businesses, including real estate and car sales. But his charm, according to some, masked a darker side, a tendency towards shady dealings and a wandering eye. Whispers of infidelity began to circulate within their social circle. Marlene confided in her friends and family, expressing her growing suspicions about Mike's loyalty. She felt a growing distance between them, a sense of unease that something was amiss in their marriage. Marlene was deeply hurt, the friend reveals. She loved Mike, but she knew something wasn't right. She felt like he was pulling away from her, like he was keeping secrets. Marlene's concerns weren't just limited to infidelity. She also had suspicions about Mike's business practices. She confided in her mother, Shirley Twing, expressing fears about his involvement in questionable deals and potential legal trouble. Marlene told me she was worried, Shirley recalls. She said she didn't trust Mike anymore, that she felt like he was hiding things from her. As the tension in their marriage grew, Marlene became increasingly fearful for her safety. She confided in her son Joe, expressing her concerns about Mike's potential for violence. "If anything happens to me," she warned Joe, "Mike did it." Was Marlene's fear justified? Was her husband capable of harming her? Or were her suspicions misplaced, a product of a troubled marriage and growing paranoia? The truth, as we shall see, is far more complex and disturbing than anyone could have imagined. May 26, 1990, dawned like any other Saturday in Wellington. The sun rose, casting a warm glow over the manicured lawns and neatly trimmed hedges. Birds chirped, children played, and families prepared for the weekend ahead. But for Marlene Warren and her family, this day would be anything but ordinary. Joe, still recovering from his broken leg, sat at the kitchen table with his mother and some friends. They laughed and chatted, making plans for the day. Marlene, ever the attentive mother, fussed over Joe, making sure he had everything he needed. The atmosphere was lighthearted, filled with the warmth of friendship and family. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the front door. A clown. Joe and his friends exchanged puzzled glances. Who could it be? Was it a surprise for Joe, a get-well gesture from a friend? Or was it something more sinister? Marlene, unaware of the danger lurking on her doorstep, rose to answer the door. She smiled, perhaps expecting a friendly visitor or a delivery. But as she opened the door, her smile vanished, replaced by a look of shock and terror. The gunshot shattered the peaceful morning, its echoes reverberating through the quiet neighborhood. Marlene collapsed on the doorstep, blood staining her white bathrobe. The balloons and flowers, meant to be a cheerful gesture, lay scattered around her lifeless body. Joe watched in horror, his mind struggling to comprehend the scene unfolding before him. He rushed to his mother's side, cradling her in his arms. He cried out for help, his voice a mixture of disbelief and agonizing grief. "My mom's been shot. There's blood everywhere. Please send help." It was a clown shot my mom. The murder of Marlene Warren sent shockwaves through the community. A seemingly ordinary suburban neighborhood was now the scene of a bizarre and brutal crime. The image of the killer clown, the senseless violence, the shattered life of a beloved mother. It was a nightmare come true. But who was behind the mask? What drove someone to commit such a heinous act? And how could a symbol of joy and laughter be transformed into an instrument of death? The answers, as investigators would soon discover, lay hidden in a web of secrets and betrayals, a dark undercurrent beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic community. I know this was a heavy one, but these stories need to be told. If you're feeling it, give this video a thumbs up and share it to spread awareness. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join our true crime community. For those of you who've been here a while, you know I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. The murder of Marlene Warren sent shockwaves through the quiet community of Wellington, Florida. Detectives from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office descended upon the crime scene, determined to unravel the mystery behind this bizarre and brutal crime. The investigation began with a meticulous examination of the scene itself. Every detail, no matter how small, was scrutinized. The scattered balloons and flowers, the spent shell casing, the bloodstains on the doorstep, all were carefully documented and collected as evidence. Witnesses were interviewed, their accounts piecing together a chilling picture of the crime. Joe Ahrens, still reeling from the shock and grief, provided a detailed description of the clown, approximately 6 feet tall, with orange hair, a red nose, and a painted-on smile. He also recalled the getaway car, a white Chrysler LeBaron, that calmly drove away from the scene. The search for the clown costume began immediately. Detectives canvassed local costume shops, hoping to find someone who remembered selling the distinctive outfit. They also scoured pawn shops and secondhand stores, looking for any trace of the murder weapon, a .38 caliber revolver. The investigation quickly expanded beyond the immediate crime scene. Detectives delved into Marlene Warren's life, exploring her relationships, her business dealings, and any potential enemies who might have wanted her dead. They interviewed her family, friends, and colleagues, searching for clues that might lead them to the killer. A crucial break came when investigators discovered an abandoned white Chrysler LeBaron in a parking lot just a few miles from the crime scene. The car matched the description provided by witnesses, and inside, they found a treasure trove of potential evidence. Forensic specialists meticulously examined the vehicle, uncovering orange fibers that appeared to match the clown's wig, along with strands of brown human hair. Could these be crucial links to the killer? The discovery of the LeBaron fueled the investigation, providing valuable clues and raising new questions. The LeBaron was a major turning point, the detective recalls. It gave us a tangible connection to the killer, a physical piece of the puzzle that we could analyze and investigate. But the evidence found in the LeBaron also raised new questions. Whose hair was it? Was it the killer's? And if so, could it lead them to the person behind the mask? The investigation was far from over, and the mystery of the clown murder was only beginning to unravel. With the discovery of the LeBaron and the potential evidence it held, the investigation seemed to be gaining momentum. But would these clues be enough to identify the killer and bring them to justice? Or would the case remain shrouded in mystery, the identity of the clown forever hidden behind a mask of anonymity? As detectives delved deeper into Marlene Warren's life and relationships, a name kept surfacing: Sheila Keene. She was a young woman who worked for Mike Warren at his used car lot, Bargain Motors, but their relationship, it seemed, went beyond that of employer and employee. Sheila Keene was known for her outgoing personality and her striking looks. She was a skilled repo woman, unafraid to take risks and confront difficult situations. But beneath her confident exterior, some described her as manipulative and ambitious, a woman who knew what she wanted and wasn't afraid to go after it. Sheila was a go-getter, one former colleague recalls. She was always hustling, always looking for an angle. She was definitely not someone you wanted to cross. The investigation revealed that Sheila and Mike were more than just colleagues. They were having an affair, a secret romance conducted behind Marlene's back. Witnesses reported seeing them together at various locations, their intimacy undeniable. They were always together, the neighbor states. They acted like a couple, holding hands, kissing. It was obvious they were more than just friends. As detectives pieced together the timeline of events, the circumstantial evidence against Sheila Keene began to mount. Witnesses at a local costume shop described a woman matching Sheila's description purchasing a clown costume, wig, and makeup just days before the murder. The description was eerily similar: tall, with long brown hair and striking features. The hair found in the abandoned LeBaron also seemed to point towards Sheila. Forensic analysis revealed that the hair was consistent with Sheila's, although DNA technology at the time was not advanced enough to provide a definitive match. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to fit together. The affair, the costume purchase, the hair in the car, it all painted a picture of Sheila Keene as a potential suspect in the murder of Marlene Warren. But was this circumstantial evidence enough to make an arrest? And what was the motive behind this seemingly senseless crime? The investigation was gaining momentum, but the truth remained elusive. Was Sheila Keene the woman behind the clown mask? Or was there another, more sinister explanation for Marlene's murder? The answers, as we shall see, lay buried in a complex web of relationships, betrayals, and hidden agendas. While Sheila Keene emerged as a prime suspect, investigators were careful not to jump to conclusions. They explored other potential leads, pursuing every avenue of inquiry to ensure no stone was left unturned. Could there be other individuals with a motive to harm Marlene Warren? One line of inquiry focused on Marlene's business dealings. She was involved in real estate and the used car business, both of which could potentially attract unsavory characters and create enemies. Detectives investigated disgruntled tenants, dissatisfied customers, and anyone who might have had a financial or personal dispute with Marlene. Another potential lead involved a rumor circulating within the community. Some whispered that Marlene had been involved in an illicit affair, and that her lover's jealous spouse might have sought revenge. Investigators carefully examined this possibility, interviewing individuals connected to Marlene's social circle and exploring any potential romantic entanglements outside of her marriage. Even Mike Warren himself came under scrutiny. Despite his alibi for the time of the murder, detectives couldn't ignore the troubled state of his marriage and the potential financial benefits he stood to gain from Marlene's death. They explored his business dealings, his personal relationships, and any possible connections he might have had to individuals capable of carrying out such a crime. In any murder investigation, it's crucial to keep an open mind, the officer explains. You can't fixate on one suspect, no matter how strong the evidence may seem. You have to explore all possibilities, follow every lead, and eliminate all other potential suspects before you can be certain. Despite these various leads and potential suspects, the investigation kept circling back to Sheila Keene. The circumstantial evidence against her was compelling, and her relationship with Mike Warren provided a strong motive for the crime. But was it enough to prove her guilt beyond a reasonable doubt? Was Sheila Keene truly the mastermind behind the clown murder? Or was she merely a pawn in a larger game, a convenient scapegoat for someone else's crime? The truth, as we shall see, remained shrouded in shadows, waiting to be revealed through the relentless pursuit of justice. Despite the initial flurry of activity, the investigation into Marlene Warren's murder gradually slowed. Leads grew cold, witnesses' memories faded, and the trail of evidence seemed to disappear into the Florida heat. The case, once a headline-grabbing sensation, slipped from the public consciousness, becoming another unsolved mystery. For Joe Ahrens, the fading of the investigation was a bitter pill to swallow. He had lost his mother in the most horrific way imaginable, and now it seemed that her killer might never be brought to justice. The pain of his loss was compounded by the frustration of unanswered questions and the gnawing feeling that his mother's case was being forgotten. The years following the murder were a dark time for Joe. He struggled with grief, guilt, and the weight of witnessing such a traumatic event. He battled with addiction, seeking solace in substances that only deepened his despair. The once vibrant young man seemed lost, adrift in a sea of pain and unanswered questions. Witnessing a violent crime, especially the murder of a loved one, can have a profound and lasting impact on an individual's mental and emotional well-being. The therapist explains, the trauma can manifest in various ways, including depression, anxiety, substance abuse, and even post-traumatic stress disorder. Despite his struggles, Joe never gave up hope. He clung to the belief that his mother's killer would one day be found. He kept her memory alive, sharing stories about her with friends and family, ensuring that she was never forgotten. He became an advocate for victims' rights, channeling his pain into a desire to help others who had suffered similar tragedies. Joe's determination to find answers led him to research the case, poring over old police reports and news articles. He contacted investigators, urging them to revisit the evidence and pursue new leads. He became a tireless advocate for his mother, refusing to let her case fade into obscurity. Would Joe's persistence pay off? Would the cold case ever heat up again? Or would the identity of the killer clown remain a haunting mystery, forever denying Joe and his family the closure they so desperately sought? As the years passed, the clown murder case seemed destined to remain unsolved, a chilling reminder of the fragility of life and the limitations of justice. But in the realm of forensic science, a revolution was brewing, a technological advancement that would breathe new life into cold cases across the globe: DNA analysis. What was once a fledgling field, riddled with uncertainties and limitations, was rapidly evolving. Scientists were developing new techniques to extract and analyze DNA from even the smallest and most degraded samples. The ability to identify individuals with unprecedented accuracy was transforming the landscape of criminal investigations. In the case of Marlene Warren, the passage of time had not erased all traces of the killer. The strands of hair found in the abandoned white Chrysler LeBaron, once a source of tantalizing clues but inconclusive results, were now a potential goldmine of genetic information. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, determined to bring Marlene's killer to justice, submitted the hair samples for advanced DNA testing. The results were astounding. The DNA profile extracted from the hair matched Sheila Keene Warren with a high degree of certainty. The scientific evidence was undeniable. This breakthrough reignited the investigation, casting a new light on the evidence and confirming long-held suspicions. Sheila Keene Warren, the woman who had been at the center of the investigation from the beginning, was now firmly in the crosshairs of justice. DNA analysis has revolutionized forensic science, the expert explains. It provides a level of certainty that was unimaginable just a few decades ago. In this case, the DNA evidence was crucial in linking Sheila Keene Warren to the crime scene and ultimately bringing her to justice. With this new evidence in hand, the wheels of justice began to turn once more. The long wait was finally over. Sheila Keene Warren, the woman who had seemingly evaded capture for so long, was about to face the consequences of her actions. But where was Sheila Keene Warren now? Had she vanished into thin air, or was she living a new life, unaware that the past was about to catch up with her? And how would she react when confronted with the undeniable evidence of her crime? The answers, as we shall see, would unfold in a dramatic confrontation that would bring this long and winding case to a dramatic climax. Armed with the irrefutable DNA evidence, investigators set out to locate Sheila Keene Warren, but she was nowhere to be found in Palm Beach County. Had she fled the state, hoping to escape justice? Or was she hiding in plain sight, waiting for the storm to pass? The search led them to Abingdon, Virginia, a quiet town nestled in the Appalachian Mountains. There, they found Sheila living under an assumed name, Debbie Warren. She had married Mike Warren, the man she had once had an affair with, and they were running a restaurant called the Purple Cow. It seemed that Sheila had built a new life for herself, a life far removed from the tragedy and turmoil of her past. On September 26, 2017, nearly 3 decades after the murder of Marlene Warren, Sheila Keene Warren was arrested. The news of her capture sent shockwaves through the community, reawakening the memories of that fateful day in 1990. For Joe Ahrens, the arrest brought a mix of emotions: relief, vindication, and a renewed sense of hope that justice would finally be served. "It was a long time coming," Joe says, his voice filled with emotion. "But I never gave up hope. I knew that one day my mother's killer would be held accountable." Law enforcement officials expressed satisfaction that the case had finally been cracked. The clown murder, once a symbol of unsolved crime, was now a testament to the perseverance of investigators and the power of forensic science. The public, captivated by the bizarre and tragic story, followed the developments with a mix of fascination and a thirst for justice. But amidst the wave of relief and satisfaction, a disturbing question lingered. What role, if any, did Mike Warren play in his wife's murder? He had been a person of interest from the beginning, and his subsequent marriage to Sheila Keene Warren raised eyebrows and fueled speculation. Had Mike Warren been complicit in the crime, orchestrating his wife's murder to be with his mistress? Or was he merely a victim of circumstance, unwittingly entangled in a web of deceit and betrayal? The answers, as we shall see, would remain elusive, adding another layer of complexity to this already tangled tale. With Sheila Keene Warren behind bars, the wheels of justice began to turn, albeit slowly. The anticipation for her trial was high, as the public eagerly awaited the resolution of this decades-old mystery. But the path to justice, as it often does, proved to be long and winding, filled with unexpected delays and frustrating setbacks. The complexities of the case, compounded by the passage of time, presented significant challenges for both the prosecution and the defense. The original investigators had retired or passed away, witnesses' memories had faded, and some evidence had deteriorated or been lost over the years. Reconstructing the events of that fateful day in 1990 was like piecing together a fragmented puzzle with crucial pieces missing or obscured by time. The prosecution faced the daunting task of proving Sheila Keene Warren's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, despite the circumstantial nature of much of the evidence. They had to rely on witness testimonies that were decades old, forensic analysis that had advanced significantly since the time of the crime, and a complex web of relationships and motives that had become tangled over time. The defense, on the other hand, sought to cast doubt on the prosecution's case, highlighting the lack of direct evidence linking Sheila Keene Warren to the murder. They argued that the circumstantial evidence was open to interpretation, that witnesses' memories were unreliable, and that the DNA evidence, while compelling, was not conclusive. Cold cases present unique challenges, the expert explains. The passage of time can erode evidence, witnesses can become unavailable, and memories can fade. It requires meticulous investigation, careful reconstruction of events, and a persuasive presentation of the evidence to convince a jury. As the trial date approached, unexpected events further complicated the proceedings. The COVID-19 pandemic caused widespread disruptions, forcing courts to postpone trials and reschedule hearings. Key witnesses fell ill or passed away, creating gaps in the prosecution's case. Legal challenges and procedural motions added to the delays, prolonging the wait for justice. For Joe Ahrens, the delays were agonizing. He had waited decades for this moment, for the chance to see his mother's killer held accountable. Each postponement brought renewed frustration and uncertainty, a reminder that the wheels of justice, while relentless, can also be agonizingly slow. Would the trial ever take place? Would Sheila Keene Warren finally face a jury and answer for her alleged crime? Or would the delays and complications continue to plague the case, leaving the question of justice unanswered? The future remained uncertain, the path ahead shrouded in a fog of legal complexities and unforeseen obstacles. After years of anticipation, countless delays, and mounting frustration, a dramatic turn of events unfolded in the case of Sheila Keene Warren. Just weeks before her scheduled trial, a plea deal was struck, bringing the long and winding legal saga to an unexpected conclusion. The terms of the plea deal were as follows: Sheila Keene Warren would plead guilty to the lesser charge of second-degree murder, accepting a 12-year prison sentence. This meant that she would avoid the possibility of a life sentence, or even the death penalty, which had been considered earlier in the proceedings. The decision to accept a plea deal was a calculated one, driven by a combination of factors and strategic considerations from both the prosecution and the defense. For the prosecution, the plea deal offered a guaranteed conviction, ensuring that Sheila Keene Warren would be held accountable for her role in Marlene Warren's death. It eliminated the risk of a lengthy and potentially unpredictable trial, where the outcome could have been uncertain due to the challenges of presenting a decades-old case. Plea deals are a common tool in the criminal justice system, the expert explains. They offer a way to resolve cases efficiently, ensuring a conviction while avoiding the time, expense, and uncertainty of a trial. In this case, the plea deal allowed the prosecution to secure a conviction and bring closure to the victim's family, while also acknowledging the challenges of prosecuting a cold case with circumstantial evidence. For the defense, the plea deal offered a way to mitigate the potential consequences for their client. By pleading guilty to a lesser charge, Sheila Keene Warren avoided the possibility of a life sentence or even the death penalty. It also allowed her to maintain a degree of control over her fate, rather than leaving her future in the hands of a jury. From the defense perspective, a plea deal can be a strategic move to minimize the potential punishment, the attorney explains. It allows the defendant to take responsibility for their actions while also negotiating a more favorable outcome than they might receive at trial. In this case, the plea deal allowed Sheila Keene Warren to avoid the most severe penalties and potentially gain an earlier release from prison. The plea deal brought a sense of closure to the case, but it also sparked debate and controversy. Some argued that the deal was too lenient, that Sheila Keene Warren deserved a harsher punishment for her crime. Others felt that the plea deal was a fair compromise, acknowledging the challenges of the case and ensuring that justice was served. But what were the implications of this plea deal? Did it truly bring justice for Marlene Warren and her family? And what did it mean for Sheila Keene Warren, the woman who had finally admitted her guilt after decades of denial? The answers, as we shall see, would unfold in the years to come, as the consequences of the plea deal played out in the lives of those involved. The news of Sheila Keene Warren's plea deal reverberated through the community and beyond, sparking a wave of reactions and reflections on the complexities of justice. For Joe Ahrens, the man who had spent decades seeking answers and accountability for his mother's murder, the plea deal brought a mix of emotions, relief, closure, and a lingering sense of dissatisfaction. "It's a bittersweet feeling," Joe admits, his voice tinged with both sadness and acceptance. "On the one hand, I'm relieved that she finally admitted her guilt, that she's being held accountable for what she did. But on the other hand, it feels like a compromise, like she's getting away with a lighter sentence than she deserves." Joe grapples with the knowledge that Sheila Keene Warren, the woman who took his mother's life, will likely be released from prison in a few years, having served only a fraction of the time she might have received had she been convicted at trial. He struggles with the concept of justice, questioning whether the plea deal truly reflects the severity of the crime and the profound impact it has had on his life and the lives of others. The case of Sheila Keene Warren raises broader questions about the nature of justice and the role of plea deals in the criminal justice system. Some argue that plea deals are a necessary tool, allowing for the efficient resolution of cases and ensuring that criminals are held accountable, even in the absence of overwhelming evidence. Others criticize plea deals as a compromise of justice, allowing offenders to avoid the full consequences of their actions and potentially leaving victims and their families feeling cheated. Plea deals raise complex ethical questions. The scholar explains, "They can be seen as a pragmatic solution to the challenges of the criminal justice system, but they can also raise concerns about fairness, transparency, and the rights of victims. In high-profile cases like this one, where public interest is high and the stakes are significant, the ethical implications of plea deals are even more pronounced." The plea deal in the Clown murder case highlights the delicate balance between achieving a sense of closure and ensuring that justice is truly served. It raises questions about the adequacy of punishment, the rights of victims, and the role of public opinion in shaping legal outcomes. It also underscores the complexities of the human experience, where emotions, motivations, and the pursuit of justice often intersect in unpredictable ways. But what does the future hold for Joe Ahrens and the others affected by this tragedy? How will they navigate the aftermath of the plea deal, and what lessons can be learned from this complex and emotionally charged case? The answers, as we shall see, lie in the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of hope and healing. The plea deal, while bringing a sense of closure to the legal proceedings, did not erase the pain and trauma that Joe Ahrens had endured for decades. The scars of that fateful day in 1990 remained, a constant reminder of the mother he had lost and the senseless violence that had shattered his world. But amidst the grief and lingering questions, Joe embarked on a journey of healing, a quest to find peace and honor his mother's memory. The path to healing was not an easy one. Joe faced years of struggle, battling with addiction, depression, and the lingering trauma of witnessing his mother's murder. But through therapy, support groups, and the unwavering love of his family and friends, he slowly began to rebuild his life. "It's been a long and difficult journey," Joe reflects, his voice filled with emotion. "But I've learned that healing is possible, even after the most unimaginable tragedies. It takes time, it takes support, and it takes a willingness to confront the pain and find a way to move forward." Joe found solace in honoring his mother's memory. He shared stories about her with his children, ensuring that her legacy lived on. He became an advocate for victims' rights, channeling his pain into a desire to help others who had suffered similar losses. He dedicated himself to living a life that would make his mother proud. A life filled with kindness, compassion, and a commitment to making the world a better place. Joe's journey is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the ability to find hope and healing even in the face of unimaginable tragedy. It's a reminder that while the pain of loss may never fully disappear, it can be transformed into a source of strength and inspiration. Joe's story is a beacon of hope, a testament to the enduring power of love, resilience, and the human spirit. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always the possibility of finding light and meaning. But what lessons can we learn from the clown murder case and Joe Ahrens' journey of healing? How can we honor the memory of Marlene Warren and support others who have been affected by violence and loss? The answers, as we shall see, lie in our shared humanity and our collective responsibility to create a world where such tragedies are prevented and where healing and justice prevail. The story of Marlene Warren, the boy who lost his mother to a clown, is a tragedy that has resonated far beyond the quiet community of Wellington, Florida. It's a tale of love and loss, of betrayal and deceit, and of the enduring pursuit of justice. But it's also a story of resilience, of the human spirit's ability to find healing and hope even in the face of unimaginable darkness. The clown murder case captivated the nation, not only for its bizarre and shocking nature, but also for the enduring mystery that surrounded it for decades. It exposed the fragility of life, the devastating consequences of violence, and the complexities of human relationships. It also highlighted the dedication of law enforcement, the advancements in forensic science, and the unwavering pursuit of justice by those who loved Marlene Warren. The case served as a stark reminder that violence can touch any community, no matter how peaceful or idyllic it may seem. It underscored the importance of vigilance, of supporting victims and their families, and of working together to prevent such tragedies from occurring in the future. The story of Marlene Warren is a tragedy, but it's also a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. Joe Ahrens' journey of healing, his dedication to honoring his mother's memory, and his commitment to helping others are a testament to the resilience and strength that can emerge from even the darkest of times. This story is a call to action, a reminder that we all have a role to play in creating a safer and more just world. We can support victims' advocacy groups, educate ourselves about the signs of domestic violence, and speak out against injustice wherever we see it. We can honor Marlene Warren's memory by working towards a future where such tragedies are prevented and where healing and hope prevail. What can you do to make a difference? How can you contribute to a world where violence is no longer tolerated and where victims and their families receive the support and justice they deserve? The answers lie within each of us, in our collective commitment to creating a better future for all. As the story of Marlene Warren and the clown murder draws to a close, we are left with a profound sense of loss, but also with a renewed appreciation for the strength of the human spirit. This case, with its bizarre twists and turns, its enduring mysteries, and its emotional complexities, has captivated and challenged us, leaving an indelible mark on our hearts and minds. We've witnessed the devastating consequences of violence, the ripple effects that extend far beyond the immediate victim. We've seen the pain and suffering endured by Joe Ahrens, a young man robbed of his mother in the most horrific way imaginable. But we've also witnessed his incredible resilience, his unwavering determination to find justice, and his inspiring journey of healing and growth. Marlene Warren's life was tragically cut short, but her memory lives on. She lives on in the hearts of those who loved her, in the stories shared by her family and friends, and in the legacy of kindness and compassion that she left behind. Thank you for joining us on this journey, for bearing witness to this story of tragedy, resilience, and the enduring pursuit of justice. We hope that Marlene Warren's story has touched your heart and inspired you to make a difference in your own community. If you've been affected by violence or know someone who has, please reach out for help. There are resources available, organizations dedicated to providing support and guidance to those who need it most. Together, we can create a world where violence is no longer tolerated and where healing and justice prevail. If you found this story compelling, please consider subscribing to our channel for more documentaries that explore the complexities of the human experience and the pursuit of truth and justice. Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below, and let's continue the conversation about how we can create a better future for all. Thank you for watching. We hope you'll join us again soon.